Okay, it's recording now. So what was I saying? Oh yeah, so I was saying that it also came, through the animal communication, the listening group, was that the matriarchal nature of elephants and this aspect of forests, and particularly the older tree, which we could call the older tree as a matriarch, it's very similar to what the elephants do. How the elephants care for each other, and the whole matriarchal aspect of elephants, and how they are so connected to the earth. They send rumbles through their feet to the others. What are they called? They're not called packs, whoever they are, the groups of elephants. They can send rumbles through the earth to the other elephant groups, and the trees can definitely send. Oh, and I read a paper. This was the Western Australia University. I'll have to find the name of this researcher. That the trees are able to emit a sound, like they create some kind of hertz. And I think if I remember correctly, it's 220 hertz and is audible to the human ear. And it's supposed to be when they're happy, when things are good. Because this paper that I was reading was saying, well, they can send the alarm, they can, send information if there's disease, and then it's like, well, what do they do if they're happy? And then this paper was part of it, saying that they kind of sending this low frequency sound, which is supposed to be when when all is well. And it might be what we feel when we go into a forest, and somehow it feeds us, and then we feel good, and elevates our spirits, and opens, somehow opens us up a little bit. So it's fascinating how, I could talk for hours about this, but it is so much about remembering that we're not that far away from how they're able to communicate. And if we remember that we are able to communicate with each other in the same way, that is somehow obviously telepathy, but I think it's more than that. It's some kind of field, like as if I could send you a message through my field, not only through my, I could try and send you an image through, me having an image in my mind and sending. I mean, this has been done, right? But it feels like there is more that we don't yet know. So
yes, definitely. Wow, there's just so much there, that you're saying. I mean, it's just spectacular.
It's exciting.
Thinking about, trees, elephants, whales that you were mentioning a little bit before we turned the recording on. I mean, these beings are masters. They do have so much to teach us. And one of the messages that I think that I'm getting from this is that learning how they communicate is one step. It's a very important step. But what they are looking for, this is the message, what they are looking for is for humanity to be more like them, and how they go beyond just being the false concept of an isolated individual. They want us to be like them in terms of how we relate to one another, how we care for one another, how we need to be circles of families going out. You know, you talked about the series of concentric circles. I can see this as like rings of families, communities going out. And that first we would have to learn how to work together, you know, within our closest family, and then we can go out, you know, to wider and wider rings. Wow, that's a beautiful teaching that, you know, that you have, and, you know, and that you're getting from these other life forms living with us.
Yes. Yes, thank you. I feel that if we remember, and you know, you mentioned that, I think the first time that we spoke, that we are an interstellar, what did you call an interstellar culture? That humanity is an interstellar culture.
Yeah, our future, humanity's future is being an interstellar people.
Yeah. And for us to be interstellar, we need to evolve enough, right? And for us to evolve, we need to remember who we are. And if we feel, as you said, if we still feel that we are separate, if we still feeling that I can just go outside and cut a tree and it won't matter for the whole, then certainly I'm not ready yet to be interstellar. It's like there is a reverberation of all the choices that we make, and there is symbiotic. Yeah, we are part of each other, you know, and if we remember that, then I think this is when we can be part of everything. Remember that we are part of everything, that we are part of the Galactic Brothers. And also this is the reason why I wanted to talk to you, because you were talking about having this understanding that the exoplanets or the star systems had connections with themselves, that there was some kind of web that connected, right? That
yes. Yeah, that image has come to me, actually, I can say numerous times now, going through my, excuse me, going through my blogs. I think this image of connections, seeing it as like energy strands or light strands, going out to the planets and systems within this Star Nations community. I think I first experienced that in maybe 2018, certainly. And so like I've got a blog entry and it just kind of came out of nowhere. And then I see how this experience and this image was coming to me more often as the blogs progressed. And now it's just a very, I feel it every day. I mean, it just feels like it's ingrained within me, and whatever this is, then I'm a part of it too.
Yeah, and it makes perfect sense that you and I have had connections, have had clear communication with star brothers in somewhere else, not on this planet.
Yes.
And yet we are still not realizing that we can have communication with each other, that somehow we feel it's woo, you know, to be telepathic, to be in communication. And yes, we are with the people that are close to us. We have all had experiences that we know somebody's ringing before they ring, and then they call and it's just them. And so maybe part of this, you know, connecting through the tree network is that we need to remember that we can connect with each other without using, you know, Zoom, which is wonderful to use Zoom or to use YouTube or But maybe we need to remember that we don't need, or rather we are the technology, we are the advancement.
Yes.
Something to that effect.
Yes. A funny image just came to me. What I flashed on is seeing today's state-of-the-art computers attempting to work on like a first generation network. See where I'm going with that?
Right.
Yeah, because we're running around in these human bodies, and like with all of the inner work that we do, all of the refinement that we can make to our energetic systems, that we have. This is still a three-dimensional body, and we're still living in the Earth life system. So I think it is kind of accurate to think, yeah, what we are doing is trying to use more advanced technology with, like with an older network. But yes, I completely agree with, like what you're envisioning. In fact, my wife Nancy and I were watching a TV show, what is it, America's Got Talent? Do you ever see that show?
Yes, yes.
Okay, well, last night there was a woman that was doing remarkable telepathy. And it was very controlled how it was done. But like one of the how it worked is that she was actually standing outside of the building with Terry Crews. And then inside, her partner was, like setting up the way that it would be done. And so members of the audience wrote down a positive experience, like a happy experience from some point in their life. They wrote it down simply, they put it in a basket. And then one of the judges then randomly selected it, focused on an image of that, and then attempted to mentally send it out to this woman. And bit by bit, she was seeing it, she was describing it. There was a part at the very end that she got, and what the image was is it, I think it was like her with either her husband, and maybe it was father or grandfather, maybe father. And so it must have been when she was young. And so he was holding her. She was looking at the ocean for the first time when they went to Hawaii.
Sorry, I have a kitten that's very loud.
Oh, yes. Oh boy, beauty.
Quiet.
So that was, that was what was written down. That was what was mentally sent to this woman. She picked up on it. She had the vision of it, the nuances of it. She said it out loud, and everyone was like, how could this happen? So synchronicity. This is synchronicity, because here we are talking about this. You have a vision of, how we could begin to do this. And then last night, Nancy and I saw the very exact thing on America's Got Talent, now on national TV.
So it's out there in
It's out there.
in the, yeah, in in the collective mind, right? That this is something that must be possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, and how easy it would be to have a lot of people say yes to, sure, I can listen to a tree for 108 days. Why not? 1 minute a day and see what comes. Why not? And if you are in a busy office and there is no tree, but then you connect to that one tree that you already made a connection to, and then just write something, whatever you felt or whatever you received for that 1 minute. And
Yeah.
it might be that nothing comes, but even if nothing comes, you've given yourself 1 minute to be with yourself and to listen to the possibility of, what if I could be at one with a tree? What would that feel like? And what would I do with that wisdom? What would I do with the wisdom of that knowing that I can connect to a tree even when I'm in the office, or even when that tree is, far away, or maybe the tree is close. But if I can connect to one tree, then can I connect to the whole forest? And what would that be like? And so I just feel like there is potential to expand, and certainly it does have to do with telepathy and us having the same technology. We are the same technology. We have this sugar and whatever they are, the minerals that the tree is absorbing. We have all of that in our system. I don't have the science right now to quote it, but the whatever it is that the tree is receiving to then create chlorophyll. We don't necessarily create chlorophyll, but we are receiving the same. So we are kind of made of the same structure. And what's another thing that is puzzling me is that the concentric circles have something to do with it. And sure enough, the trunk of a tree does have.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. Yeah, the rings.
Right.
Tree rings. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
that's right.
So yeah, there are many aspects of that blows my mind, and many aspects of that I'm still like, I don't know. It's like we have to try it, and what if we try, and what would it feel like? I know that when we did the 108 days project 2 years ago, it's 2020, we were doing it up to the solstice of December 2020, when we had that big alignment of Saturn and Pluto, right? It was Saturn and Pluto, I think. At 0 degrees of Aquarius, a lot of, the astrologers were saying that was the heralding of a new way of being. And yeah, I mean, nobody knew. We knew there was going to be great changes, but nobody knew about what was really going to happen, and how, the whole world was going to be, stopped for quite a considerable time. So when we did the 108 days project, it was about coming into agreement and learning, remembering that if I agreed to go beyond rights and wrongs of what I think is right or wrong, and I choose to meet you for 1 minute a day, then maybe we can make a change. And so we would meet together, and we would say, the agreement was to have no thoughts, just that, and then see what came. And it was about coming together at the same time. That was important. And so we've been doing this ever since, really. Although the project ended in December 2020, groups of us, and we called it Voyage Through Consciousness, and groups of us continued to hold 3 minutes a day. We increased the minutes to 3, and we've learned exponentially by doing that. We received intelligence through the field, through, the galactics, through our own wisdom. And so what would it be like now to connect that to, the consciousness of the trees, the consciousness of the planet, and then to be at one with them could potentially mean that I can send all sorts of information through maybe the network that is a living network, that is the tree. I mean, what if? I mean, is that what people did in ancient times? You know, is this what the Mayans did? I don't know. Could we do that before?
Yeah, that is profound, like rediscovering ancient wisdom.
And it seems very simple. It's like, come on, you know, like, really? You want me to just go and listen to a tree for a minute? Yes.
No, that's the beauty. That's the beauty. I've found that the most profound experiences that I'm having are essentially simple. And there was, I think, a dream that I had a number of years ago that I wrote down in one of the blogs. And in this dream, I was being shown old and new spiritual practices. So they were being contrasted. And in this entry, I wrote that the new ones, the new spiritual practices, are simple and direct. So I mean, that's exactly what you're describing, you know, very simple and direct ways of going beyond ourselves and, you know, tapping into more understanding and having a deeper, I guess just saying a deeper connection, or like a deeper understanding with the life that's around us.
Yeah.
Trees, I've had a bunch of experiences with trees, and I've written just a few of the experiences in my blogs, and I don't remember whether it was our first or second video, but I talked about, we were talking about trees, and you talked, you had this wonderful story, that just gave me chills, about the palm tree and then the music. So wow. And then I told, it was a number of years ago, maybe 15 or even 20 years ago. There's a very big and old tree in our area, and so I was connecting with it, and suddenly I found myself in deep space. Not all of my experiences with trees are that dramatic, but it's very easy to do what's called tree qigong. It's one
Yeah.
that I think you do, and I've read others doing, is like putting your back against the tree. In fact, I think that might have been how I was with the tree when I had that space experience. I think my back was with the tree. But I also go into like a qigong stance, and have my hands against the bark, and then connect with the tree visually. Physically rather, and energetically this way. Any number of ways work with trees. There's no right or wrong, of course. But like when I do that, I definitely feel an energetic coming together with the tree. I also feel earth energy coming up through my feet. I can have sensations of other energetic, like the crown chakra. I can feel that, opening as well. It's a very profound experience. About maybe 4 or 5 years ago, I was doing the qigong with a tree, and a new experience happened for me. I started off with the usual kind of connection with this tree, but then without me doing anything or thinking about it any way, suddenly I was connected with all of the trees in the woods. And it was, wow, it was just beautiful. I mean, it was really very touching.
Mm. Mm.
And I had a sense that the trees were feeling my energy too, you know, that it was reciprocal. Sometimes intuitive messages come to me from trees. There was one blog entry that I made in last year's blog about when my granddaughter and I were going through one of the local gardens here. It's called Brookside, and it's just a very beautiful place. She loves to go there and make sketches of flowers, trees. One time there was a great blue heron in the pond. There's like a Japanese tea house and, you know, like a pond. And so there was a heron, and so she was sketching that. So it might have been that particular time that she and I were walking through the garden, and it felt to me, a word came into my mind, and it felt to me that I was getting it from the trees. The word was emissary. And this is a word that actually came to me the beginning of 2021 during a medical Qigong session with Michael. And that just, like, I don't know what to make of this. But this word has come to me a number of times. And it's, I just wanted to mention this. I don't advertise myself in this way, but this is a word that, you know, has been coming to me in various ways, including the trees at Brookside Gardens. And so that's why I wanted to mention that.
Beautiful. Yeah. Thank
but
you.
This will blow your mind even more. You know, we've been talking about Robert Monroe. Well, this was maybe 2 months ago. My granddaughter and I were driving to down the street to the organic market. And so like here I am driving, and all of a sudden I feel this energetic connection with Robert Monroe. And he gave me a greeting. I heard this greeting from him, and he said, emissary. Like, he was giving me this greeting. It's like, oh, hi, hi, Bob.
Wonderful.
But yeah, this has been coming to me. But it's really interesting how this has been coming to me in various ways, from the trees to Robert Monroe to who knows what.
Yeah, amazing, and it does feed us. I have many stories, where trees, I feel the trees healed me, you know, healed me of heartache, healed me of misunderstandings, of, yeah, sometimes I just, like, I couldn't see, you know, literally a solution for something, and I went to this one tree. I often have one tree that I go to, and that becomes my tree.
Mm-hmm.
And that particular time, I know I went to my tree. Depends where I live, but there I always go to one tree and I make this connection. And it did guide me to yeah, to some kind of solution that was life-changing that I didn't see. I mean, can I say that it was the tree that gave me the solution, or did the tree give me that, that quietness? Did I feel so good with the tree that I could then access my own deeper knowing? It doesn't really matter. It just feels that once we are connected, with a tree being, with the consciousness of a tree, somehow we are also connected with ourselves. This is why I feel that there isn't all that much separation if we understand.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a tree that's probably over 400 years old that's in New York City. It's in Washington Square Park. I think it's the northwest corner of Washington Square Park. And there's a sign that has information about the tree, and it goes back to some point in the 1600s. There's a fence around the tree, so whenever we're in New York and in the village and hanging out in Washington Square Park, I make a point of going over to the tree. With the fence, I've thought about stepping over it. It's just a low fence. I've thought about stepping over it and connecting physically with the tree, but I didn't want to get myself into trouble with the New York Police Department. So I just stand there on the sidewalk by that little fence. And sometimes I do go into like a formal Qigong stance and connect with it. Sometimes, if there's a lot of people around, I'll just look normal. And then, I connect with it without doing anything outwardly energetic. Both ways work. I mean, I can just stand there nonchalantly. I can even be talking to someone and still connect with the tree. But, connecting with old trees like that is just so profound. While we've been talking, I've been visualizing that tree. And yeah, I think I'm feeling a connection with it at a distance. Yeah, so we can do that. Like you said, that if you're away from a tree that you feel close to, you can still connect with it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
There is. I'm sorry.
Yes. No, go on.
Oh, have we talked yet in any of our conversations about trees on other planets?
No, tell me about that. That was part of what you wrote. So I'm very curious about that. Of course there are. Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. And so that realization came to me one day, and with that there was an understanding that earth trees communicate with star trees. And so obviously this goes way beyond any kind of physical underground network with their roots. This is, like a direct consciousness network. So that's another example for us.
Absolutely. And maybe that's the part of the concentric circles. I don't know, but absolutely. The story that I told you when the tree, remember, just mention it in case we do use this video, that I had music in my ears. I had earphones on, and I was, just sat and then put my back to the tree that I went most days to. There's an oak tree. And I'm sitting there, just enjoying my music. And then I was like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm not listening to you. I'm listening to my music. And I took it off. And the tree said, no, I'm enjoying it. You know, I listen to music too. Like, and then she told me that it was through the leaves that she could just pick the different tones of the stars and just make music by moving the leaves and choosing the notes. Like literally she was making music and therefore listening. And yeah, absolutely. That was a quite a
I'm getting
day.
goosebumps again.
Yes,
When
yeah.
you,
So it's literally like playing
yeah,
with the stars.
yeah. When you uh, told us that story with the other video, I didn't realize that it was an oak. I was visualizing a palm tree, and
It was
so
an oak. Yeah, I was in France.
oh
A few
oh
years ago.
wonderful. Oh, that's
When I
beautiful.
lived in France, it was probably 12 years ago.
Okay, you've been around.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Um, oh, here's another. There's two more things that I'd like to say about trees. Um,
Please.
one of them, different visions have come to me about my higher self. And, um, in our last video, I described that as like a summation of all of my experiences, my life continuum, and you described it as, what was it, the place of all remembrance or all knowing?
On the place of all knowing, yes. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, oh, I love that. I love that. And so one of the first visions that came to me, and I think this was when I'd been working with Michael, and this was a time when I was using HemiSync, one of the sound technologies that Robert Monroe developed. And so I was using a HemiSync recording with the headphones on. And this was a vision that came to me, and I saw it as my higher self as a library that contained everything. Then another vision came to me of like a massive fiber optic cable, like with, a countless number of strands. I mean, really enormous. And I saw that as my higher self, and each individual strand was a lifetime in my life continuum.
Mm.
And at one point, a third vision of my higher self came to me, and it was like a massive tree. And I had this vision, and there was also a message. This wasn't like how we conventionally think about family trees, like with our relations, like our parents and grandparents and so on. Each leaf in this massive tree would be one of our lifetimes. So this tree with its countless number of leaves, all forming a unity, so there's both the individual and the collective working together. This massive tree then would be our life continuum. And the message was, we've grown up being taught that we're an individual leaf, but in reality, we're a massive tree.
Mm.
Yeah. The last thing that I wanted to mention about tree was the vision, the energetic experience that I had last week when we were by the ocean. I was there with my wife and our family and extended family, and a big crowd, in two large beach houses. And this is a vacation that we do each year at the Outer Banks in North Carolina. We're at the southern end of Hatteras Island in a small town called Frisco. And so what I like to do when I'm there, regardless of what's happening with the weather, I like to go out on the deck and look at the ocean, and then also look at the sky, like whatever is happening in the sky, whether it's clear, whether it's cloudy, I just like to see what's happening. And many nights we can go out and the sky is clear. The Milky Way is just, is just breathtaking. I always know where to look to find Arcturus. And then I can also see the summer triangle with Vega. And I've forgotten the names of the two other stars in the summer triangle. But for the past, well, this would be the third year that this has happened, visions have come to me of sky serpents. And I can talk about that a little bit more in a while if you would like, but this year was an especially profound experience with them. And so when I was on the deck, there was a very strong wind, just blowing. It was going from west to east. And so like I relaxed my eyes, and then all of a sudden, I was seeing all of these sky serpents, like forming, it looked like a river of sky serpents. But after a while, the movement stopped. And so this is what I wanted to tell you. I wasn't sure what I was seeing at first. It was no longer the sky serpents. I couldn't tell what my eyes were beginning to see. And it felt like I was very close to whatever this was. And I actually physically reached over the balcony railing to, in an attempt to touch or connect with what this was, because again, I at first didn't know what it was. And then I realized it's a massive tree. And what I was seeing was the branches and leaves. And so I was, looking around at this tree, and it just filled up the entire sky. Something that I did not see in this vision was the tree's trunk. All I saw were the branches and leaves. And it felt like I could turn my head around looking at this tree in different directions, and it felt like I was in the tree. But it was just massive. Again, it just filled up the entire sky. And the energetic feeling was just beyond words. And I don't know if it didn't seem like the tree had a particular message for me. It was just like, here I am with this, incredible being.
It sounds like the tree was you, because when you said you couldn't see the trunk,
Yes.
it feels like the tree is you beholding yourself, is you understanding the magnitude of your being.
Yeah. I wondered that, but then I started getting all shy about it.
Yeah, I understand.
Wow, this is a huge being.
What an honor to perceive yourself in that way. And then yes, of course you humble, so you're like, no.
No. But there was also a sense that I was looking at a higher dimensional
Self.
tree.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, it can be both things. And if this was an experience with myself like that, with going along with what I was saying earlier about the tree how this can represent our life continuum and like all of our galactic origins and connections. Yeah, that works. That works. I definitely can see that and feel that.
Mm.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. But it was definitely a very, it was definitely a higher dimensional experience with it. Yeah.
And as you were, earlier you were saying that what I saw as concentric circles expanding, into bigger outer circles. And you said that maybe this is, the immediate family. And then you were saying that it was your family and your extended family together. So
Yeah.
well, as you were saying that, I was thinking, oh, that was happening. Like you had the concentric circles. I mean, we know this, right? We know that we're here to somehow put together a little bit of the puzzle, a little bit of the wisdom. And then what do we do with it? We just gift it to the next generation.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, it feels, you're talking about your granddaughter a lot, and it feels like, oh, you are like bringing so much wisdom now to your concentric circles, but then to all of us.
Yeah, I should mention that my grandson is also having medical Qigong with Michael Perfetto.
Huh.
So there
We
we
have
go.
to meet him one day. We have to.
Let's grab him in. His schedule is so busy, and if I don't
know.
book sessions with him far enough out, then then he's all booked up. And he has a
Amazing.
wife and two young children, so he keeps
Busy.
himself busy. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, but I hope we can rope him into a session.
Eventually, I'm sure it will happen somehow. It will be organic. It will happen.
You're really gonna like Michael. He's such a kindred spirit, and
yeah, I'm sure.
And in fact, just at our last session, we were talking about. I guess you could say, well, we didn't use the word cultural. What was the word? Cultural. Oh, cultural. Oh boy, I'm stumbling here. Like where you take something from another culture.
Intercultural. I don't know. It doesn't matter.
Telling me cultural, what, misappropriation or cultural appropriation?
Oh, okay. Yes. Okay.
Yeah, we didn't use that word, but Michael is so deep into medical Qigong, Taoist teachings, and he mentioned to me that there's been people that have encouraged him to be, to become a Taoist priest. And, he says, no, he absolutely does not want to do that. He's found his particular way. And that's what's working with him. He doesn't need kind of like an outward trappings, if you will. And we were discussing that in context of how you might remember when we started with our last recording, we were talking about Chief Golden Light Eagle.
Yes.
How we both have, we both feel connections with him. And for me, I've never met him, in person, but I feel this connection with him. And I've seen a number of his videos where he talks about Native American connections with the star beings and with the Pleiades. And so when we were at the beach, there's a wonderful Native American museum in this town. It's called the Frisco Native American Museum. And there's a woman that works there named Amber. And I like to go to the museum each time we're there on summer vacation to talk with her, because she's extraordinarily deep and she asks wonderful questions. But while I was there, I went into their bookstore and looked around, and a book that jumped out at me is called Rainbow Tribe. And it was written by Ed McGaugh, if I'm pronouncing his name right, but he was also known as Eagle Man.
Huh.
And so in one of the chapters, he passed on in 2017. And when I started reading the book, I discovered that he had autographed this book. So it felt really special then to have this book with his signature right there. In one of the chapters, it talks about this extraordinarily deep things that happened in this one sweat lodge ceremony, where they were making connections with the stars. And in the course of the ceremony, the people saw the top of the teepee disappear, and then they were just seeing, the stars, deep space. And then the bottom of the teepee dropped out. And they were also then seeing, stars and deep space. And so they felt that they were, their circle of people were kind of like a space shuttle. I don't know if they use that exact word, but, here, here's their group in a circle out in space. And, there were other connections with star beings that were also talked about. Chief Golden Light Eagle, and many of his videos that one can find on YouTube, he's talking about these connections. And so this was the context that Michael and I were talking about, how he doesn't want to become a Taoist priest. Then in a similar way, I don't want to take on trappings of, say, like the Lakota or even the Maya. I have deep respect for these traditions and for these people. But it's but it's like, well, I have this particular color skin. I, was raised in this particular culture. But for me, the important thing is, and I think this is the spirit of the Rainbow Tribes, that we can connect with others that are having experiences like us.
Mm.
Like when I read about some of the experiences of star beings coming into sweat lodge ceremonies, this is very, very similar to what Michael and I experience every time we have our medical Qigong sessions. Star beings are coming in to help us. Sometimes it's always some of my guides, but there are other star beings that are coming in to help. I think it's exactly the same thing with these connections. And so for someone like Eagle Man or Chief Golden Light Eagle, they would use the means or the method of the sweat lodge ceremonies, vision quests, and other things, like for these connections. And so, like for Michael and me, like we're doing medical Qigong and other energy practices, but it's the same kind of connections. I'm absolutely convinced of that.
Absolutely amazing. Yeah, I've been in many sweat lodges that they're called inipis in the Lakota tradition with eagle. We call them eagle for short. And it's interesting what you said, because I always felt that it would just take off, it's, the shape is like a dome, and it always feels like it's a starship, and it's just gonna take off.
Yeah.
But yeah, absolutely. What do you think that is the similarity? Is it because we are in a state of allowing ourselves to feel and receive and perceive and yeah, listen? Are we opening when we are in that state of whether it is a traditional ceremony, or whether it's like even a massage? I have had experiences, having a massage. So
Yeah,
what do you think is that? Do you think it is because we're allowing something to come through?
I would say all of the above.
Yeah.
I think there's many ways to perceive it. I think it's like a multifaceted diamond or quartz. There's many little ways that you can perceive it. I think we do become more relaxed. I think we go kind of beyond our usual self. Our thought process is probably being, kind of, well, not necessarily shut down, but kind of lowered.
Yeah.
It enables us to be more open. I think it's also a matter of frequency, that our frequencies coming up. I think we can also be tapping into more of our higher self. I think it's any number of things. It could be one, it could be many.
Yes, you're right. You're right. Thank you for answering it. Yeah, because the moment I put the question out there, I don't know if you noticed, but I started smiling at myself, because I was like, how many times did I receive information when I was just like, I don't know, cutting potatoes, or,
Yes.
so yeah.
Mhm. Exactly right. Exactly right.
Yeah. But absolutely all of the above, including cutting potatoes.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
always a joy to talk to you, and yeah, there is so much more to share. Like, I'm still trying to put all of this information about the trees together. So I'm sure I'll be messaging you back and forth.
Yeah, I
Thank you.
definitely want to see that, because trees, yeah, it just feels like messages are coming to us from the trees about one thing or another. And um, have you heard the have you heard the word emergence?
Yes.
Yeah, I stumbled upon a book several years ago. Nancy and I were at this wonderful little bookshop that's in Shepherdstown, West Virginia. And I was just, looking around, didn't see anything among the new books. And then I walked upstairs to the upper floor where they have used books. And again, I was just looking around, and then something caught my eye. And it's a book about emergence. And I wish I could remember the name of the author, but I can't. But it was written in the early 2000s rather. And so it talks about the emergence process and how this is a part of a new social model that we're evolving to. And some of his research was with pond scum. and how this living organism can evolve into higher levels of functionality without a leader. It's an entire, it's entirely a group consciousness. And
I didn't quite hear, what was the experiment on, you said?
pond scum.
What's that?
Algae.
Oh, algae. Oh, pond scum. Okay, got you.
Pond
Got you.
scum. Yeah, algae.
Okay, okay. Pond,
Algae
yeah,
of
okay.
some kind. Yeah, so it's a group consciousness. And then he was describing, like with bees, with ants. Now those colonies would have a leader, but somehow they do evolve their functionality with a group consciousness. And so he was envisioning, and this is a vision that I've had for years myself, but I just didn't have a word to express it. The vision I've had for this process that we're going through now, this transition between the old and new worlds, the vision that I had is that it's not coming top down, like through political leaders or religious leaders or corporations, whatever. It's going to be coming bottom up through grassroots movements.
For sure.
The other day, recently, you were talking about people raising their frequencies, cultivating their frequencies, and then finding others.
Yes.
Finding their tribe, if you will. That's exactly what this is. That's exactly what this emergence process is.
Yes.
This is exactly what I feel. This is one of the ways that the Star Nations is working from within humanity. I don't know if I described this before, but maybe a couple of months ago, a vision came to me. The word Star Nations in Residence. Did I tell you that?
I like that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
This word Star Nations in Residence came to me. And then what I envisioned was a vast number of star beings, like us, who are having a human life. But each one in this group, this very large group on Earth now, represents a particular star system. And I think this is where the word emissary, because I certainly know that there's a vast number of emissaries. It goes way beyond myself.
Yes.
So each person in this group represents their particular star system, or, well, okay. But then the unique qualities, the unique energetic qualities or spiritual qualities or technological qualities of a given star system, they are somehow using those qualities in their particular mission. See what I'm saying?
Yes.
So it's a very individual thing. And so all of these different kinds of work, all these different focuses or different approaches to helping humanity are being done simultaneously from within humanity, rather than the spaceship.
So could that also be the concentric circle and then the circle, right?
Exactly right. exactly right. So this is one of the ways that the Star Nations is working from within humanity, um, rather than the proverbial flying saucer coming down on the White House lawn and freaking everyone out.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, we're already here, you know,
Yeah,
we're already here,
yeah, that's right.
and yeah, here we are. We're having contact. It's
Absolutely.
happening right now.
Yeah,
Oh,
right within this very moment. Yeah.
yes. So
Hmm.
I'm very excited for what is coming, and you know, I'm sure that we'll be co-creating, collaborating, and
Yeah, I think we're going to see this in many different ways.
yeah.
Yeah, and again, the idea of the tree, I really want to say a
Yes.
big congratulations for the
Thank you. Thank
decision
you. Thank
coming
you.
through.
So yes, I am very honored. Thank you. I am still to write it up,
Mhm.
and I think I will just put it out slowly on social media. But it's as I said, very simple. It's just choose a tree, connect with it, and then choose to be with us for 108 days, doing that one thing that you do and allowing something to come through. So sort of in 1 minute a day, which is so doable, no matter whether you're busy or not busy. Everybody has 1 minute.
Yeah.
And I know this from having done so much of just continuing to do the one thing over and over. We increase in our ability to perceive. So when I often talk about supersensory perception, which is not the medical term of extrasensory perception. So to become the super, the extraordinary human is to really know what we are perceiving, not just perceiving something, but knowing, deeply knowing what we're perceiving.
Mm.
So I know from doing this, like the 108 days, the voyages through consciousness over now. Yeah, we started with the Imaginarium, which was in 2019. So I have been looking at groups doing this one thing and doing it with the groups for quite some time. And if nothing else, we've learned that by doing the same thing over and over puts us in a state very quickly. So like we are somehow our nervous system becomes so accustomed. So it's a very easy thing to do, to slow the mind and to go into the field of consciousness and just be present and allowing something. And sometimes we receive things, sometimes it doesn't seem like I received anything and it doesn't matter. But for sure, like my body knows the timing that it happens. It's in. So for all of us, it would be in 1 hour and 13 minutes. We do this every day. So almost an hour from now.
Mhm.
Yeah, if nothing else, it teaches us to be present and to be present at will, like to just stop the world and like, oh, here I am. If nothing else, creating that potential to do something every day. It's the opposite to being repetitive, which is surprising.
Mm.
It's a presence. It creates a presence.
Yes, yes. Mm. Something just occurred to me. Um, I hope that this video can be added to the two others.
Okay, let's do it. Let's do it.
Of course, I don't want to be hogging all of all of the
No, I
space.
haven't posted a video in a while. I've been a bit
Yeah.
quiet.
Well, here's the reason I'm encouraging you to do that. If that feels like it's something that you want to do, I can see.
Let's do it.
Looked at our two other videos several times, and I see a progression running through them. The first was a little bit of an icebreaker, I would describe it that way. And you were beginning to tell me some of the important things that you were seeing in my chart, that you calculated for me. And for some of these connections, it was new information to me. I had not thought about Kapala as an example, or Rigel. But then after you told me about that, it was like, oh yeah, I'm starting to feel something here. I was starting to feel, some expansion, like some feelers going on. And then in the second one, it felt like we were more in the zone, more comfortable, or maybe I was feeling more comfortable with the Zoom process with you. And it felt like we were going into some deeper levels. And one of the things that I know that you specifically brought up was, here we are talking about raising our frequencies, and making connections like with higher aspects of ourselves, and making connections like with star beings that are, like part of our team of guides, and what I would call our star friends, extended family. But how does one do that? And I know that you brought that up specifically. Now, this video, I'm seeing we're going into some deep stuff, obviously, but it seems like there's some practicality here.
Yes.
Some ways that, that this might happen. And when you were talking about your visions for, working with others, connecting with trees, I was starting to get a vision myself of this as being the beginning of what could be a decentralized, that's the word, a decentralized movement. Well, movement's not the right word, but let's just say a project. Okay.
Yes.
Don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, but it's kind of like exactly what we were talking about with emergence. This is a fantastic project. I really do get goosebumps thinking about it, and
me too.
What this can mean for people, and even if they don't, even if they're not able to formally participate with you, that you can inspire them. This information can inspire them to go out and, connect with trees in their own ways and learn from trees. And again, trees are trying to teach us. The elephants are trying to teach us. The whales and dolphins are trying to teach us. Everyone, in nature is trying to teach humanity, and, it's kind of like, come on here.
Right.
You can get this.
Right.
You can get this. We believe in you. We love you, but come on here. Stop all this war nonsense and political division. Come on here. So
Absolutely.
yeah, this can be a wonderful way of contributing to this emergence process that, like we've been talking about. So I think this third video, I think would be really good to add it to the other two if you're, able to do that.
I shall. I will put it up for sure. Yes.
Okay.
And absolutely, for whoever gets to watch this was just an impromptu conversation that it felt important for us to share.
Yeah.
Aspects of what we were receiving, and
Right.
yeah, and here we are. So yeah, this has been immensely inspiring.
Yeah.
And exciting. So thank you so much. for allowing this time together again. And yes, absolutely. Thank you, Roger.
Well, I need to one more moment because I just want to tell you how
Yeah.
much it means to me, you know, as a collaboration. It definitely feels like we're definitely kindred spirits here. And what we're able to talk about is exactly the stuff that Michael Perfetto and I are able to talk about. You know, there are some other people in my life that, you know, I'm able to talk to these things, you know, talk to about these things. But there's a lot of people in my life that are not quite ready, not quite open, you know, to hear these things. And so for me, the power of collaboration has become quite evident. So again, I feel like the work that I'm doing with Michael is a collaboration. Now I feel that what I'm having here with you in these discussions is exactly the same kind of collaboration in higher level work. So I want to say thank you.
Yes, thank you. Likewise, Roger. Absolutely. It's always an honor, and you know, just for whoever gets to watch this out there, it is important to allow connections to come into being, because we are, you know, we're like you have a piece of the puzzle and then I put it with my piece and like, oh, that's what that is. And then we're sparking each other. It's more than just sparking minds. It's understanding the deeper workings of the universe. So this is why I say, you know, go find the others. We didn't come here by ourselves. And
Right.
as you mentioned, you know, we're all here on a mission, and we're not supposed to do this by ourselves. And if people out there don't believe that they have a mission, we definitely have a purpose. We didn't come here to just pay bills. And
Right.
yeah, so thank you.
This process is exactly like high-level jazz musicians playing together. And how there is like nonverbal communication and, you know, in listening and picking up on what one another's doing.
So we're playing with frequency, right? And somehow we're activating, like we're activating memory, we're activating knowings and expanding in awareness. And yeah, it's
exactly
so
right.
important. So yeah.
Exactly right. Yeah. No,
Thank you so much. Yes, I am honored and delighted. I will put this out there. And so I didn't introduce you beforehand. So Roger Aldridge, thank you so much for being here. And I look forward to, thank you. I look forward to the next.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, much love. Bye-bye.
Take care.
Thank you.